For this assignment, I will be comparing w women in Indonesia to women in Massachusetts. So a little bit about women in Indonesia. It's a large country, uh, and there's a lot of cultural differences within the country, but as a whole, about 50% of their population are women, and about 50% of working aged women, which is about like 25 to like 64. 50% of those women are employed compared to 80% for men. So there's a large gap in who is participating in the workforce, or what people define the workforce as. Careers such as manufacturing, service, and agriculture are industries that they might work in, but also traditional childcare and domestic roles might not be considered work or work, but it is definitely hard work and considered a job. And so, a little bit about the challenges or limitations that women in this country face. A big one is public safety. Uh, Public transportation exists in the cities, and women might face just the safety side of that, having to worry about either like harassment, or fearing for their safety, especially like young women, or women of all ages. And also in many Asian cultures, there's like an underlying systemic sexism that exists in all aspects, especially careers. So when systemic sexism exists, the expected career outcomes are either you're not supposed to be working certain jobs like STEM, or you're solely supposed to work in the household. And so that leads for limited employment opportunities for women that want to get into industries such as like teaching or other like what you would call like white collar jobs too. And also climate change is a huge factor or challenge for Indonesia in general, but especially marginalized communities. Recently, I think in 2024, Jakarta faced a huge earthquake that was devastating, and marginalized communities such as women, or people of lower income or children or elderly, um, it is harder to rebuild because they might not have access to the resources, and thus this is just a major limitation because it is someone's home, and without a home, it is very hard to live and keeps people in poverty too. But some of the opportunities, so I took this case from the Uplifting Urban Lives reading about the different civil societies in Indonesia. And civil societies do help. They contribute to bettering both women's rights and just like raising awareness on these issues that marginalized communities face. And so one case study I liked was the bicycle maintenance, um, and that a system where women of all ages, children and older women can learn how to like maintain and repair bikes, because that is a major like mode of transportation. And organizations that lead initiatives like that kind of shape or shift the role that women have in a society. And also because they face many environmental disasters, women often take the lead in focusing on environmental justice as well. And so I'll be comparing it to Massachusetts. So about half of the population is women, and about 60% of working age women are employed compared to 66. So that gap is much smaller. Um, and women also often work in education, healthcare, assistance and service industries, as well as many other industries, but you'll often find these are women-dominated industries. Um, And Massachusetts also has a rich history of women rights activism and activism in general. It's known as one of the most liberal states. So, looking at some of the limitations, because it ha it has a rich history of activism, that means there are and have been a lot of limitations. Affordable housing is a big one, especially for female-headed households. Access to affordable health care and equitable pay, the gender pay gap still exists, even if some people don't think it does. But looking at opportunities, female representation in government exists. We have the mayor of Boston is a woman. We have a female senator that has ran for president. Um, and also access to education. Massachusetts is home to one of the best, or many of the best institutions in the world. And although it is relatively recent where women can attend schools like Harvard, like there are lots of women-led initiatives in these schools, and universities often equip women with strong alumni networks. Like at UMass, there's the UMass Women into Leadership, and they have a very strong alumni network, and they're actively trying to help young women find work and just connect with other people that are passionate about issues. So, in conclusion, both locations are very different culturally, but they both face challenges, especially within like employment or access to certain like human rights. Um, and while they do face many limitations, both locations have groups that advocate and provide support.